All right, and welcome. This is your very last chapter for logic. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be analyzing arguments today with Euler diagrams. Now, last time we were using truth tables, but we're going to be working with a different type of argument. Now, first, let me go through a definition of syllogism. It consists of statements called premises followed by a conclusion. Now, you might be thinking, okay, well, that's what we did last time, but let's kind of keep going on this. I want you to recall what a symbolic argument is. That's what we've been working with for the last couple of videos. It consists of the words with, you have your compound statements with and, or. We also had the conditional if then. With those types of arguments, which is called a symbolic argument, we use truth tables to verify the argument. What a syllogistic argument is, it consists of all, some, none. Remember those quantifiers that we talked about in the very first logic video? Now those are coming back. We're going to use Euler diagrams to verify the argument. Now, if you think about, we did some of this. This is really kind of a stem or an extension of what we did when we did the critical thinking chapter, where we were doing premises and conclusions and drawing diagrams. Well, we're going to be doing this again for this chapter, so this should help. I'm hoping the prior knowledge from that will help. And let me just show you the steps. We're going to draw diagrams that all premises are represented. And again, we did this in the video that was on critical thinking, where we were doing arguments on that one. Remember then we put the conclusion in the diagram, and to be valid, it had to be true for all cases. Let's try an example. I think that'll make more sense if we just do some examples here. All right, first example. All people are mortal. So that would be your premise one, right? Premise two is Socrates is a person. And then we want to look at the conclusion. Therefore, we want to conclude Socrates is mortal. All right, well, remember, we talked about this in a previous video, the critical thinking chapter on validating the arguments, and we were drawing circles. And we had said that, remember that we made all people are what? So like this was kind of like our, if you remember, we said this was kind of like the P, just going back to our previous video. It's been a few videos, and this was our Q, and so we had put Q was always our bigger circle, and P was our smaller circle, because we're saying that all people are. So my big circle here, all right, is going to be mortal. And then inside, it says all people are mortal. That means the people here, we'll just put people, that goes inside because it says all people are mortal. Now, this is where we do the conclusion. We put the conclusion. It says Socrates is mortal. Okay, that's what we're trying. So, no, sorry, Socrates is a person. We haven't even done the second one. I skipped that. Socrates is a person. Well, he has to go inside the people circle then. Okay, so this is Socrates. Almost forgot that one. Now we can do the conclusion. This is saying from our diagram, can we conclude that Socrates is mortal? We can, because he's inside the bigger circle, which is mortal. So this is a valid argument. Now, if you remember when we did this back in the critical thinking chapter, we aren't testing the true and false of this. We're just testing the validity of the argument. Two different things. Just in case you're saying, wait, so some of these will not make sense, and that's the point. We want to just prove whether they're valid or invalid. Here's one. All poets are good spellers. Dante is not a good speller. That's premise two. And we want to see if we conclude that Dante is not a poet. Well, let's go ahead and draw our circle. Again, the bigger circle is that second part. They are what? Good spellers. This is our big circle. Good spellers. All poets. Poets goes inside then. All right, we're not done yet. Now, this is where I put the second premise in. Dante is not a good speller. Well, that means I got to put him out here, right? Because if he's not a good speller, I can't put him inside the poet because that's inside the good speller. I have to put him outside of that. Thus, Dante goes outside here. The conclusion is, can we say he's not a poet? Absolutely, because he can't go inside the poet circle. This would be a valid argument. Again, only testing the validity. Now let's go into another one. I've got three more examples. Okay. All tigers are meat eaters. Premise 1. Simba is a meat eater. Conclusion, Simba is a tiger. All right, so let's start with that, meat eaters. That's our big circle. Okay. Little circle would be tigers, because we're saying all tigers. All right. Now, it says Simba is a meat eater. Now, if Simba is a meat eater, I could put him here, right? Because he's inside the circle for a meat eater. But couldn't I also put him in here? Because it's still inside the meat eater circle, meaning he's a meat eater. I could put him here, or I could put him here. But can I conclude necessarily that he is a tiger? No. And the reason why we say no is because I could put him somewhere else. Remember, this is kind of similar to what we've done before. If I can't necessarily put him in one place, and that's true for all cases, then it has to be invalid. But because I didn't have to put him inside the tiger circle, the argument is invalid. Now let's try a couple of examples when we're adding the word some, because that's a little different. I find all is a little easier because you can put them all in one circle. This one is going to be a little more work. Some mushrooms are poisonous. Let's just start with that. Here's how we do the sum. Here's one circle, and we'll call that poisonous. There we go. Because some mushrooms, not all mushrooms, are poisonous, we're going to do an overlapping circle. Okay, this would be mushrooms. If it was all, we'd put it inside, but because it's some, then we have it overlapping, because this means some are and some are not. Now, we got to put our conclusion, or no, sorry, the second premise in. A morel is a mushroom. Okay, well, I have to put that inside the mushroom circle. Well, I could put that here, right? What does the conclusion say? That it is poisonous. Well, I could put it in here, sure, because it's still considered a mushroom, but I don't have to. That is the key. I don't have to put it in there. I just have to make sure it's in the mushroom circle. That would make this an invalid argument because I can't necessarily just put it in one spot. All right, we're going to try one more. Some desks, hold on, some desks are made of wood. Okay. And just to show you, it doesn't matter which circle is which. So I'm just going to make this one this time wood. I just want to show you it does not matter because they're just both have to overlap. So we'll just do it this way. Some desks, right there, are wood. Some are not. Next one. All paper is made of wood. Ooh, that's a different one, right? All paper is made of wood. All means it has to go inside here. So this is your paper. Goes in there. Next. Some desks are made of paper. Well, notice, see how I drew all paper inside this wood circle? Could I have done this? Sure, I could have. And then, yes, that would make the conclusion true that some desks are made of paper. But I don't have to See, that is always the key. It's only if I can necessarily put it in one spot and it makes it true for all cases. But in this case, I have two possible ways to draw the second premise, and because of that, it would be invalid. All right, that actually concludes this section on syllogistic arguments. Hopefully you enjoyed a little bit of it. It's very visual, so if you are a visual learner, this should help. I will see you for the next chapter.